Good day, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Glad you made it. It's another Soso production. We're doing it here on Wednesday, March the 29th, 2023. Great to be here amongst you today. Hey, glad to be here today with you from, we're not in Glasgow, but I'd like to be, you know what I mean? It's like, love the travels, baby boys, baby girl. We are here in Toronto. Glad you made it. Welcome back. If it's your first time joining us, buckle up, buckle down. Where can you find these videos? Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We drop them on Instagram. Follow me there if you like. Subscribe on the YouTube channel for the full-length videos. And check out patreon.com/RobSadri. Let's get into it. Let's have some fun. Great day. It's another great day to be alive and kicking, ladies and gents. So many things are happening at the same rate. I like to take today as just a loose, extra loose day to just have some fun, talk about different ideas. I don't know where it's gonna go. Most often I try to, go with the flow. I really don't know where anything goes in terms of like, we can only, we don't try to control the wind, baby. We just flow with the motion of this boat on this island. Nearby the island on the water. Where the boat is traveling. Your captain is here. Glad you made it, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in and around this beautiful planet. I hope you're safe and sound. I hope you are, I hope you're out there tickling each other's, either by yourself or with a partner, you know what I'm saying? Just having a little bit of fun. Just having a bit of fun. We're here in Toronto. Anywhere else in Canada, what's up? Down south in the US, I hope you're all doing well. South America, Mexico, Europe, Asia, Africa, Middle East, fucking Australia, New Zealand, wherever you are, I hope that your days are filled with sunshine and rainbows. But otherwise, sometimes things do, man, it's popping off everywhere on the news alerts or what. It's a story that sucks. It's a story that's a bummer of a story. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but mass shooting went down in Nashville, Tennessee, Nashville. I'd like to visit, probably will, and sometime in the near future. So that's, man, school shooting. What did we learn? It's tragic. It sucks. It's, you always got to try to learn. And I guess from this, we can only learn that, man, it sucks to learn certain things. I would say not all trans lives matters at this point. You know what I'm talking about? If it's like, not all lives matters. I think this is a clear, like, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're out there, especially like hurting, killing children, really. Adults to innocent people, really, that's so that is one takeaway. I don't know the deets of it. My heart goes out. It sucks that, what are we to do about it? I suggest, we'll briefly talk about it, because I know that anytime these sort of things happen, people are obviously rightly so emotional. You might feel scared. Obviously, you might feel concerned. You're like, man, is it going to happen at my school's kid? Is it going to happen at my, wherever? And you can't really predict these things. You can't control it. At the end of the day, I gotta say, with all the, that's what it is, man. With the United States is, I'm not from the US, obviously, but I have this deep love and affection for this country and what it was founded on, at least what I believe it was founded on, and from my very, limited understanding, it's very, the founding fathers, because at moments like this, you think and you're like, man, what a great experiment in humankind, what a fantastic, and it's not perfect or anything, but to have the foresight and the wisdom and be selfless enough to come in there and be like, you know what, we could start a new country and we could completely run it based on old school methods of tyranny, and we could become kings in this new nation. But that's what they want. They essentially said no to the old ways, and they're like, we're gonna make it as even a playing field as we possibly can. One of the key features of maintaining a somewhat level playing field is the ability to bear arms. And I know in times like this, it's like, oh man, you get those knee-jerk reactions. You're like, what do we need? People panic. People get scared because obviously it's tragic. It sucks. But then, what is the answer? There are no answers. Sometimes because this is a scenario where instances like this, we're like, how did it happen? Were there any signs? Was there something we could have done? We're trying to rationalize this insanely irrational display of human behavior, right? We're trying to wrap our heads around, was there any signs? Was there anything else we got? Unfortunately, there's going to be a certain number of events and occurrences that are out of our control. That's the thing that we're going to have to realize. There is no, and times like this, it is easy to get scared and be like, man, I hope the government just came in and did more. The government should be doing more in terms of other stuff. There's so many other things that the government should be doing. But one of the things that, again, from an outsider having access to, I guess, a little bit of a broader perspective at times, I do realize that, despite the fact that it may seem at points and time in history that you're like, man, if only there was fewer access to go. Actually, you might get those instances or outbursts of random events of violence, but in totality, you have the freest society in all of the world. Because societies where there is no right to bearing arms that you're talking about, instead of a life being taken or a few lives being taken, it is entire nations under suppression, and people's ability to just live. Just the fact that we can do so many wonderful things here in Western society. In Canada, I like to think we're very close to the US, not just in terms of border, but in terms of mentality, at least, attitudes towards life, what we hold near and dear in our hearts. Notions of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and you don't get it. You don't get those privileges without something backing it up, because there's going to be a point where if you don't have that equalizer, the gun, unfortunately there will be always people who want to tell you how to live your life, do the things that they seem in their mind is the moral thing to do, and that's what it is. So I definitely don't have any solutions. The only thing that I could say is my condolences, my heart goes out, especially because there's children involved. But yeah, at times like this, I think certain things we could do, honestly, if we were to maybe a couple of security officers in schools wouldn't be such a bad idea. I'm just saying, if we might be, should we open our minds to ideas of dealing with it, better doors, what I'm saying? Maybe a door with, less glass, door with just full metal doors so that you can't just 2-3 doors, not just one door, 2-3 doors, metal doors. But then at the same rate, I did think about that, but in the event that someone should break into a facility with metal doors, and you don't want it to also become a fortress for them either. So it's a double-edged. Maybe have better locks on the classroom doors. I don't know how it all went down. I didn't it was popping off everywhere in the news, different videos and different. I didn't read too much into it. I didn't look too much into it, but it did pop on my radar. But I'm just how do we, there's no easy answer. There is no way of government intervention as to go about, oh, we need more, honestly, more presence of people, probably people with couple of people with GATs. I'm not gonna lie, I think a couple of people, security, police officers, maybe at schools is probably not such a bad idea, maybe, and I don't know, is that a good idea or a bad idea? I don't know, but ways of how to mitigate the problem so that it's occurring less in the future. I don't think, the easy answer is which is not even an answer, the easy instincts, the easy, once you're in fear, once you're scared, you're like, just take away the guns, which never works, because it only ends up in the hands of one group of people, whether it be the government or the, underground criminal aspect of society that get their hands on all sorts of materials and goods and services, regardless of them being legal or illegal. So that being said, it sucks. It definitely does suck, but yeah, I don't know. Man, oh man, it's a doozy. That one bummed me out. Not gonna lie, fam. That one bummed me out. Not gonna lie. My heart goes out, dudes, ladies. Wanted to get that out of the way because the challenge for me was to, this is. I know it sounds like I don't even know what it sounds like, but for me, I try to, it's because everybody goes through different experiences in life, and I try to, my way of, especially as of the past few years, is trying to deal with things through the lens of comedy and laughter and jokes and whatnot. And yeah, this one was a tough one because there's definitely consequences that have life-changing ramifications for the families and the communities involved, which sucks. But this is not in my mind. I thought about it. I wrote some ideas down. It wasn't even anything that I try to, this is probably a symptom. If I were to, one of the symptoms of. It's not a gun problem. It's not a. I think it's a symptom of, or a byproduct of entitlement. Narcissistic textbook definition of entitlement, because that's what it is, because that's and you speak with anybody throughout, if they've lived long enough, if they've experienced life to a certain point, you go through all sorts of challenges on a daily basis. You get your life throws you curveballs. The unexpected happens. You pick up an injury, you might get sick, you might lose a loved one, you might lose this, gain the next thing, and then to lose the other thing. Friendships, relationships, heartache, losing friends, losing a job, gaining a new job. So many ups and downs that people's lives are very diverse. But that's the thing, at the bottom of it all lies a sense of narcissistic entitlement, that you think whatever has happened to you is good enough or justification enough for you to go out and do harm to others. On that's like, to me, is it's not a gun problem. Even if there weren't any guns, I'm sure people like that would definitely be resorting to other methods of hurting others, which exist in all parts of the world. It's not a it's a there is a portion of society, that's what it is, a portion of society that is mentally unwell. And I'm a big fan of like mental health advocacy. I love the fact that we are so, we can discuss things more openly these days with at least a little bit of a lesser stigma, which is super bueno for the overall. I think it's great that we can talk about so many things, but one of the this doesn't mean that just because we can talk about certain issues doesn't mean that just because we're open to certain issues as a society that we can completely eliminate certain aspects. And that is the unpredictable, I don't even know what the percentage is it 1%, is it less than 1%, that do take things to that, to the extreme, to the unfathomable to the average person, and it's, I would say, it's a symptom of entitlement. I think that's what it is. Once, and I don't know the deeds, and I don't even think, I believe there's a manifesto or whatever, but there, and reported issues of this trans shooter that they were apparently, under some sort of medical supervision of sorts. If they, I don't know the deets, but at the end of the day, for someone to be like, I'm gonna go out there and do the most horrendous thing, that's the textbook definition of like narcissistic entitlement. And how do you deal with it? Create opportunities for people to get rejected and be okay with it, because that's what that at the end of the day, that's somebody going out there with whatever belief systems, with whatever sort of identity they want to. It's the notion of that, like, it's, either accept me or you will be dealing with extreme consequences. And that can be, you can locate that sort of pathology, you can locate it anywhere in terms of people who are extremely entitled, whether it be an individual or a group of individuals. But that's the thing. We hear these things that they do get highlighted, but again, I like to take this time to be able to reflect on the so many events, so many things that go on a regular basis that actually don't get any coverage because regularly everything's smooth sailings. You don't hear 350 million diverse people on a regular basis for the majority of the time, a high majority of the time, getting along together, working together, inspiring each other, creating communities, bonding together, sharing different beliefs, ideas, cooperating together, building, growing. You don't see that anywhere else. There's only, certain places on earth where it's as diverse, it's as and it's wonderful. One of them is the U.S. numero uno, I would say, and then there's Canada, and then Western society in terms of, but other places, it's easy to be like in the midst of some sort of tragedy, just be like, oh, we gotta, and sure, of course, can we do better each and every day? That's what we all do. We get up and you're like, oh, let's do it better. We're gonna do it better today, man. But that doesn't mean we're not gonna fall. That doesn't mean we're not gonna scratch our knees. That doesn't mean we're not gonna chip a tooth. That doesn't mean we're not gonna get hurt. We're never gonna eliminate that element. That is because that for our desire to want that is a misplaced desire of believing there's going to be some sort of utopia where everything is perfect, everyone is, that's just not possible, and it's nor is it desirable. You know what I mean? It's because you can always try to, even aiming for that leads to tyrannical ways of conducting business, and that's what I'm going to say, because events like this happen, and you do hear sometimes from policymakers, lawmakers coming in and be like, we need to intervene, and but I love the fact that there's just so many guns that you can't even take it away in America. That's the differentiating factor between, I understand it sucks that it happens, but that is the one of, if not the major reasons why you guys have such a better chance of maintaining your freedom and your lifestyle, just because you have that assurance that if push comes to, and yes, it doesn't compete. The arguments against it is always like, oh, you think you can hold back the army with a couple of shotguns or what. It's not about that. It's not about that grand, nor should it be like that. Why would you imagine a army who wants to work against its people? But the fact of the matter is that having guns in average citizens' hands allows you the space and freedom to actually be like, what, this little ground right here, this little turf, I'm going to protect this. At least I'm going to have a fighting chance, because that's the differentiating factor between ultimate access to freedom rather than because other times you see other places in the world, you're like, man, why won't they just why won't these women in Afghanistan just give them, because freedom's not a gift. Freedom is, and that's why I'm so, like, when I think about it, I'm like, man, going back to those founding fathers, and I don't know much about them or what else they were like, all, but one of the, again, to have that foresight and be selfless enough to be like, what, there's going to be, this has happened time and time and time and again in history where people come in power and essentially want to play kings or tyrants, and they gather all the power for themselves. And one of the ways to, again, create that somewhat leveled playing ground is giving the average citizens the right to bear arms. And that's again, think of all the times that things don't go awry, that we get along so wonderfully, and that's the thing. It's just that you'd think that in societies where there are no guns, that it's all like it's way worse. It is just do a little bit of traveling, just do a little bit of reading, and you can watch movies, you can watch documentaries. There's so many instances in societies where the citizens don't have the right to bear arms, and it is your worst dystopian nightmare. So that's, as much as these not little, as little in proportion, right? Because again, the majority of the times things are smooth sailings. But again, once these events do happen, and they do happen, it's not like they don't. Could we reduce them? Yes. Could we get better doors, get better security? You know what I mean? It's again, I don't have the answers, but definitely, because in events like this, it's always, you do hear politicians having an interview, or you'd even hear it's so easy to find somebody in these times in a community that's been impacted, whether it's you find somebody crying on the camera and be like, oh, the government needs to, we need to. It seems easy to say that. It seems like the logical thing at first glance, but if you were to look at it a little bit from a distance, you'd be like, you know what, despite the fact that it is not a perfect system, it's the best, and there are no alternatives until further down the line, where we fucking where we're thousands of years advanced, maybe in the future, where we've somehow managed to put away our desire to be I don't even know what it is. We are animals at the end of the day, and we've but that's the thing, we've domesticated ourselves to a really good extent, and it comes with its pros and cons, because at a certain point, yes, because if you domesticate an animal, and we are animals, you do lose certain things sometimes. But maybe it's not domestic, maybe it's cooperation rather than because you do have to, in order for things to work on you do need to get along on many of things, at least in many of basic things. But anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't, I just, yeah, it sucks that it happens. I just wish everybody, strength and patience. I don't, there are no words. In times like these, there are no words. So yeah, my heart goes out, but in order to be able to really grasp the situation at hand, and it may be difficult, but try to remove yourself from the situation, try to look at it a little bit from a wider angle. And yeah, despite the fact that these events are not bueno, we live in societies where we can, and again, the US more so even than Canada, you get to do whatever you want, say whatever you want, dress the way you like, eat whatever you like, drink whatever you like, have as many experiences as diverse. It's yeah, the diversity is that, and that's the thing. So sometimes when it's a little bit it gets it may be because yeah, I guess a little bit of it has to do with my with my upbringing, with my background, with my and I don't dwell on it, but it is not lost on me. It is not it's not for other generations that have, I guess, come and been assimilated, and you've had your grandparents or your great grandparents who've immigrated, and it's sometimes when you're born into something, it's hard to see what's at stake. And I'm not saying it's good to always get a broader perspective if possible. And at the end of the day, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Just a silly goose trying to have fun here with the gang. But I heard that and it was just like, man, it's a bummer, but we can do better. We can do better, and together learn and grow. And yeah, and that's all I'll say about that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday. It is Wednesday. God. It's Wednesday. Let us switch gears. And so many things are happening. I was just thinking of, just random silly goose ideas. Where can we see, I'd like to see more strippers in senior citizen centers, if possible, because you always hear about senior citizens breaking hips because they're going at it like a bunch of buddies, just going to town, Netflix and chill with grandma and grandpa. But that's and access to medical health care sometimes is expensive, and if these fellas and ladies happen to get themselves hurt from all the out of shape gyrating and the movements that their bodies are probably not allowing them to perform as easily as they might have when they were younger. That's why I say, if you bring a few more strippers to strip for senior citizens, I think you get them excited. They see somebody else doing all the moving and the dancing and the and it's good, and that's the thing, and it's giving back for both communities, because I'm thinking, man, who's the most patient people in society most often, hopefully, people with people who are in their senior stages of, because that's, you've seen it all, you've done it all, you've had your the ups and downs you've gone through. You know what it is, baby. You're just sitting there all grayed up upstairs. You're all grayed up, daddy. You're that silver fox. Mommy, it's time for you to sit down, knit with a cat on your lap, and get a strip dance going, baby. Think about that. I think that'd be a great idea. Just now, do we bring in young strippers for the old folks home, or do we bring old strippers for I mean, you do want to provide jobs for the old strippers as well, but I'm just saying it'd be nice to mix it up so that they got access to some, like, fresh meats, but at the same rate. I don't want them to feel bad if they're in an old folks home. I don't want them to feel bad seeing other same aged individuals stripping for them, because then they'd be like, should I be stripping at 95? Because a lot of times they say your mind is what keeps you going. In the moment that you start telling yourself, oh, I can't do this thing, like I can't do, as you know how you're younger, you tend to be more prone to taking risks, doing more adventurous things, doing more exciting. As you get a little bit older with time, you're like, man, I should man, I'm not going to be able to do this now. I'm not, and that's what it is. At 95, you're like, I can't imagine myself stripping now. And you had, but that'll be, I don't even know if it's a thing, but I'm pretty sure it's a thing. I'm pretty sure there's, yeah, because you heard of, there's definitely GILF. There's there's GILF porn, I've heard. Haven't on purpose checked it out. I've come across it as like when they do a whole all the categories, and you see like a variety, and it's there. It's a thing. But gilfing around, man, that's grayed out, a nice gray bush with fucking stories and experience to throw around. I like to see some of that, baby. I like to see some of that. That's the thing. Instead of, because like with regular senior citizens' homes being preoccupied with like regular mating and whatnot, that'll get you a misplaced hip. That'll get you that'll cause you to come in the next day and get an extra walker. Now you're double walkers. You're just went from a cane to a walker. Now you're double walking, baby, just because too much action at 95. I say you remove the element of actual like participating. Become more of a voyeur, as they say on the streets. When you're 95, get like fucking juiced out ladies and gents who show up with, did somebody call a police officer, and then start fucking going to town. That's what I'm saying. That's what it is. That's what it is, man. It's you got to think about all the communities, and you got to get everybody involved. And it's just good to merge. Sometimes it's good to merge powers and unite. Where else would I like to see strippers? I say start with the senior citizen centers, and then we can move around. Just a big old, like, just think of like a big old giant male thighs and like a G-string and like wiener half in half out, and grandma's face, happy birthday grandma, you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, and get her dollar bills, or get her one of those like money guns. She could be like in the senior citizen center, just fucking laid back on a wheelchair and just fucking like throw monies, dog, with that money gun. That's what it is. You know what's crazy, ladies and gents, is that like if you get into an altercation, you can verbally say certain things that are seemingly okay for the time that's appropriate. Like if you were to get into beef, whether it be street beefs, whether it be local beefs, whether it be beef at you're farming and there's beef, you're high tech and you're in the executive's office, executive beef, and you can, if you get mad at somebody, you can be like, fuck you, man. There it is, fuck you, man. And it's, we've come to digest it, we've come to accept it as like, well, not appropriate in other instances, but if you're like, oh man, where it's about to go down, you're like, fuck you, man. It makes sense. But if you say like, but you can't say, again, beefing situation, you can't be like, I'll jerk you off right now. I'll jerk you off right now. Why is that not appropriate? You know what I mean? Because like you can say like, fuck you, man. Or ladies be fighting, you're like, fuck you. If you're about to fight, you'd be like, oh, fuck you. Which is, you know, essentially is like a call for mating. You know? Oddly enough, it all makes sense. But then again, you can't get in a little, you know, you can't be about to, you know, it's about to pop off. You're about to get into a little scrap. You'd be like, I'll jerk you off right now, fam. Want to go? Jerk you off right now. Because fuck you is like, I always heard that. I'm like, kind of confused me as a young man. Like, not that it ever happened, but like if it were to happen, like it did happen a couple, like, you know, you throw it around, but like nobody like said it ever see, but it did come to my mind. I'm like, there was, when I heard a little bit of, I heard the fuck you, but then I heard also a little bit another voice or something in terms of like just confusion as to like, is this a call for mating? But like, and I'd be like, you know, I'm not into that sort of thing. No, thank you. Fuck you, man. I'm like, no thanks, homie. No, thank you. You know, but you could go, but then again, I say we start adding to it. I say like, that should be a thing. That should be a new thing. Because like, beefing has been around for thousands of hundreds of millions of years. Humans have like, for whatever, you shouldn't, but there is going to be an instant in life where you're going to be 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on, whatever. And then words fly before the fists and the fury is unleashed. But before the fists and the fury is the exchange of the wordage, and you say, fuck you, man. And that is completely acceptable. You're like, oh yeah, well fuck you too. And now you're both calling for a mating sesh. Whereas, again, it'd be deemed highly inappropriate where it's about to go down. I'll jerk you off, man. You want to climax up in this bitch, son? I'm gonna hit that G-spot, baby. You're like, what is going on here? So many mixed messages. And I'm like, I know. Again, I'm not the type that'll ever go out there, especially with like, you know, I was never go out there and like, you know, I'm not a fighter. Lover, this guy's a big time, you know, never gone out looking for fights or anything like that, even growing up. But I will say in the near future, should some event come up where I need to be like, I think I'm gonna drop that line, because it's a pretty sweet line. It is a pretty sweet line, not gonna lie. You try it out. Next time, if you're in some sort of a situation where it's about to pop off, look a man straight in his eyes, and it's like, oh man, you're in your wife beats, no belts on the pants, and it's about to go down. I'll jerk you off, son. What you know about that? What you know about that? I'll milk you, daddy. Let's go. You know, which is, again, you're like, none of those would be appropriate for a fight. It's basically fuck you in different forms and different, maybe it's more of a, you know, and that's what it is. Just finding appropriate ways. You're like, oh, I'll hit that G-spot. I'll hit that G-spot, daddy. Be like, you know, or something like that. I'm just still working on it, but it's still one of those instances where you're like, man, the wordage in this, it's about to pop off, and we're talking about mating. Oh, how about a back rub? An intense sensual back rub. I'll give you an intense sensual back rub right now. It's about to pop off. Oh, I'm gonna give you a Swedish massage like you've never been Swedish massaged before, fam. Before, like, that's what it is. Next time it's about to pop off, you know, because a lot of people, my thing with the whole thing is like, we're just skipping a whole lot of foreplay and just jumping into the, oh fuck yeah, it's about to go. Well, what about the, you know, did you ever put in the time and effort to like be like, what even gets this guy going if it's about to pop off? You know, I'll rub your feet, fam. I'll rub your feet right now. You know what I'm talking about? Did anybody ever pull on your fingers one by one? How about a scalp massage to put you in the mood? Oh, you know what I mean? It's just like, I think that'll work. I think that's a pretty, next time you're out there, man, if it's about, go with, yeah, because like, fuck you, so like, still works. It's a great one. I'm not going to stop using it should the event come up where it needs to be used. And it rarely has. It rarely ever has. The next time, should something come up, and I do encourage all you guys and gals out there to be like, man, I'm going to hit that G-spot, fam. We're about 2 seconds away from me hitting that G-spot, huh? Like, it's, you know? Or ladies, be like, fuck you still works, but be like, man, I'm gonna hit that clit, lady. As a lady, you'd say that to the other lady. Oh, I'm gonna, you know, just fucking do the hand gesture. You want some of this? I think those are, you know, also alternatives as to how you can go about negotiating this little tango that we call dancing, which is life. Boys and girls, ladies and gents. It is, it's a beautiful day. It's Wednesday. It's halfway through the week. We are, holy smokes, man, we are approaching the end of the month, which is the beginning of the new month, which means rent is going to be due, which is super bueno. Looking forward to that one, as per usual. As per usual. What else has been going on that's been on my radar, that's been an interesting little story to share with you guys? I did heard about this. I think this is in the UK. I think this is they're coming up with a category of individuals. Maybe it's a new job category, or because I've never heard of it before. They're called sensitivity readers. And they're supposed to go through books and texts or movies or whatever, just media, and remove words that may be quote unquote in this time and to some viewers as offensive. So if somebody, you know, if somebody 100 years ago or 70 years ago or 50 years ago wrote the way they wrote a book, you know, you can go and like edit it because you might find it offensive today. And it just got me to think, man, just because, like, you know what I mean, times do change, and sure, we might even societally change the way we talk. Lingo changes, slang changes, the way, you know, the flow of our speech, a lot of things do change. But that's the thing. I don't know, how do you guys and gals feel about it? Sensitivity readers going back, erasing certain words or phrases that were once the regular way of people expressing themselves and talking about people. Not to say that it was right or wrong, it was just the facts. It was just what it was at the time. That's what it was. If you see something, you said something the way you said it, and perhaps it might be different from the times that we're living in now. But I think that is, man, that's weird, because you can, like, you know, and start switching up and that's what it is. You want to control the past. No, wait, you want to control the future, you control the past. You control the past, you control the future, or something along those lines. Keep switching it up. It gets really hard to, you know, keep a tab on. That's what I'm saying. That's the whole point of this little, keep switching it up, baby. You keep erasing. You're like, what does she say? And you're like, man, she's coming up with some like terms that are definitely not from the era, but you see it like being something that's just like, I'm just saying, man, I'm just saying, ladies and gents, sensitivity readers. So that's I believe some of the novels I believe were Agatha Christie's, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm remembering that right. But yeah, that's apparently a thing in England. And if I'm not mistaken, again, this may be completely, you know, sometimes we do get things mixed up around here as well, and that's completely fine too, because at the end of the day, this is a comedy podcast, ladies and gents. You're not here for facts. You're not here for faxing. You're not here for facts, baby. I don't see any fax machines in here. I'm Joe Biden's husband's doctor. What? Joe Biden's husband's doctor. I'm Joe Biden's husband's doctor. I'm here for some chocolate chip ice cream. They told me they have chocolate chip ice cream down here, but I got a whole refrigerator full of chocolate chip ice cream upstairs as well. I'm Joe Biden's doctor's husband's doctor. What the fuck is going on? Sometimes I'll hear Joe Biden and I'm just like, there is no way that he's actually that retarded. There's no way that this, please. I would much rather find out this whole thing, I would much rather find out if it was like deep method acting. He's gone like full fucking in. Because sometimes you'll hear a line, you're like, which comedic genius is sitting down and typing these words? You know, I'm Joe Biden's husband's doctor. I'm here for, it's beautiful. In a sense, if you're like, and that's the thing, sometimes I'm like, man, well, if there is that out there, what am I even doing with my life? You know what I mean? Sometimes you do get discouraged, sometimes by reality. But sometimes then you're like, no way, dude, there's no way he's actually that. But then, because it's so like, it's just the level of incoherency, the level of, I've dedicated my life thus far to trying to find that perfect balance of like absurdity and nonsense, and I sit down and I think about it and I come and do it, and this guy's just off the cuff shooting from the hips. I'm Joe Biden's husband's doctor's high school. How do you even, and ice cream, it's mind-boggling. I'm a little bit envious in terms of, again, because it's so, again, I'm like, but then I'm like, no way. If this is a ruse, man. You know? But it's good to see that. It is good to see that. It's good to see everything. It's I'm looking forward to the future. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, ladies and gents. And yeah, the spring is right around the corner. I'm just like, you know, it's a time of, we're shifting. I do feel like we're shifting in a sense in terms of where we are, historically speaking, globally speaking, as a species. It seems like a lot of places are going through changes. Changes are good, man. Changes are good, ladies, gents. I like change. Try to change on a regular, on a daily. I change my underwear. I change the duvet. I'll change a razor blade that I'm shaving with. I'll change it up, baby. Ran out of old dishwasher detergent. I'll change it up. You know, 1 month it'll be limes and oranges. Next month we'll go, you know, some sort of, you know, blue colored fluid. I'll change it up. You know what I mean? It's margaritas one day, long and lasties the very next. I'll change it up. I'll sleep on my back for half the evening, then I'll change it up. I'm on my belly now. With a little bit of a minor hard-on in the AMs and no one there to do anything about it, so I'm now reaching in my own pants, grabbing and squeezing, nothing's happening. Oh, we're back to sleep, dreaming, changing. And that's the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody. That's the worst thing. I don't care what happens to you, and that's the worst thing that can happen to anybody. Wake up in the AMs with a hard on and nobody else to do anything with, and you're just like, squeeze, and then fall back asleep. Because that's what it is, man. You catch on to the hard on because all the blood just rushes down your like crotchal region, so you got to squeeze it for a second so that it pumps the blood back up to your brain so you can continue dreaming. Did it happen to you too? Ha! Good thing I'm not alone in this one right here. We got the gang waking up in the AMs with a boner. And that's what it is, baby. That's where I'm at right now in life. waking up in the middle of the AMs, trying to be like, oh, got a show to do tomorrow, but also trying to catch some Z's, you know what I mean? Just fucking right there, staring at you, right there. What are we doing tonight? Nothing. Go back down. It's like crazy town. But it's not like this. It's more like, it's way smaller than I wish it was like that. It's way, it's, you know, it is, the gesture is very much like this. You're on your back and all of a sudden it's like, oh, what is this? 3:30 in the morning? What are we doing here? I don't know. I'm trying to catch some Z's. What are you doing here? Weird. But at the same rate, natural. At the same rate, it means your body's working. At the same rate, it means, you know, you're midnight dreaming of, you know, possible scenarios, possible endeavors, possible adventures. There's nothing there. So that's the worst thing that can happen to anyone. But I deal with it. That's the thing, baby. We're not here about the, we don't, you know, sense of entitlement to be like, oh, I could, you know, I could easily be like, I'm gonna have a yerk. I'm gonna yerk myself off in the middle. I could, but that's like, I'm too lazy. I'm too sleepy. You feel me, Holmes? You feel me, essay? ¿Qué pasa? That's all I know in terms of like Spanish. I'd like to learn more. I'd love to learn more. I wish in high school and in elementary, I wish there was an option of taking, in high school there was, but I just continued from elementary to take what little French classes that were offered. And I don't remember anything, but the few words or little phrases that I do kind of wish it was Spanish, just because there's more Spanish-speaking individuals in the world, I believe, than there are French-speaking or maybe they're tied. I don't even know, but I'm just thinking in the Americas, in the continents of Americas, you know, north, south. It's just, it would have makes more sense to teach and learn Spanish, I would think. So if I had a chance to go back and give my younger self some advice, you know, they always do ask, they're like, what advice would you give your younger self? You know, don't get diddled, that's for sure. But also, if you know, try to learn Spanish. Those two things, I think, would, like, you know, completely be life altering. But I could be wrong. Boys and girls, ladies and gents, it is Wednesday, after all. It is Wednesday, yeah, man, because it would have made sense, because later on down the line, I definitely do want to be going down to the US visiting. I have travel plans on me mind. But at the same rate, yeah, it's like Mexico's right there, South America's right there. Should the opportunity arise to, you know, who knows, life opportunities, as opportunities do arise, would have been nice to speak another language. Maybe I have in the past downloaded the Duolingo app. I was trying to learn a little bit of German. I try to, you know, touch up my French a little, and I got good with it for like a little while, do the little practice session, which is nice, stimulating. It's a matter of consistency. I gotta, yeah. If I were to learn another language, I would definitely try to focus on Spanish. I do know a few words of mamacita, mame, pape, which is a mother and father. Unos, dos, tres. Yeah. I think those are Spanish as well. Unos, dos, tres. Cuatro? Are we French, Italian, Spanish, it all sometimes blurs in together. I'm like, is that Spanish, or are we going Italian there? Are we, you know, it's good to know. Cinco de Mayo, which I believe is, you know, the 5th of May, I believe. Doritos, tacos, salsa, These are my Spanish words that I'm comfortable with. Muchas gracias, amigos. Por favor. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna learn little by. These are good though. These are good. I feel confident. I feel like these are like these are the few things that'll like, get you started. The rest of it will come once you're in the space. Once you're in the space, baby. That's what I'm saying. Baby boys, baby girls. Today was a loose episode because we keep it loose. We don't know at any given time, we don't know any particular direction that we're heading towards or moving towards, but nonetheless, we are doing it one step at a time. All we can do is, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be able to come in here, share a little bit of laughs, share a couple of stories, get a few ideas out there, come back, try to refine them, try to work on them, hopefully make you guys laugh and think about different stuff. Maybe you need a little bit of a distraction. Maybe you need a little bit of a distraction, because sometimes I know you're out there working, hustling, grinding. You're out there. Sometimes you need somebody to just be like, I'm gonna put this fella on my TV. I'm gonna put this fella on my phone right now. I'm gonna have him chat for about an hour while I do the dishes, while I feed my baby, while I feed my husband who's dressed as my baby. I'm not judging. Is he wearing diapers? Is he adult breastfeeding? Are you adult breastfeeding out there? I'm not judging. Put me on the background. If I've always been curious about this. If your partner's not pregnant, but you are, can you get the lactation going as a adult male who will just, like, let's say, or female who will, if you're not pregnant, could you lactate is what I'm wondering. So if you're out there breastfeeding your partner, which is, it's more of the, because I'll suck on a titty myself. I'm not gonna lie, I'll get in there. My favorite position is to cup it up and the cup and the suck is what I like to do. You cup it, it's right there. You get under it, you hook it under, you get the hook under, you cup and suck. That's my move. You cup and the double cup and suck. Right there, right there, right there. That's my move, right? But I do wonder, has always been like a portion of my mind, I'm like, even though a lady's not preggo, could she lactate? I believe yes. Have I ever had it happen to me in real life? No. Because I think it takes time and effort. I think it's got to be something like we gotta work on this. We gotta work on this lactation tonight. Put in a couple of sets of the cup and suck. So whatever you're doing out there, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you are, watching these videos every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The name of the show is called Glad You Made It with your boy, Rob Sadri. Where can you find him? On Instagram. Follow me there if you like. Subscribe on YouTube for the full-length videos. Check out patreon.com/Rob Sadri if you'd like to fiscally, financially support the show. Everything that you do, whether it's just viewership, sharing it through word of mouth, sharing it during a lovemaking sesh, sharing it during a rendezvous with a boss for a lunch meeting, sharing it at the executive's office. Let's say you're an executive in a bank, you're in finance, you're trying to take out the money before whatever else happens to the banking system. Who knows if it's like what ifs? Or let's say you're buying gold, or let's say you're dipping in crypto. Whatever the fuck you're doing, in the midst of it, you could just have this show on in the background. We could all have a ball together. You could be hunting sperm whales. You could be hunting sperm whales out there, you could be harpooning whales for all I know. You could be crab fishing. You're the fisherman in the sea. You're the seaman. You're the fisherman and the seaman. You're a fisherman with seamen, with a bunch of seamen out there in the boat, man. Living the boat life. Living the boat dream. On a steamboat, not a yacht. Because yachts are so 1998, 99, early thousands. I get it. We've been there. Not me personally. Societally, we've been there. Bring back the steamboat. Bring that back. 2 steamboats. That's how I know you really fucking 2 steamboats. Rocking Rolexes on their wrists. That's how you know you fucking, right there, have arrived. So next time you see a fella who's giving you a hard time, next time you see a lady who's giving you a hard time out on the streets, what do you say? I'll jerk you off, man. I'll make you climax right now, son. Love y'all. I'll be back here again on Friday. Peace out.